Good evening. I'm State Representative Janine Nodder and the host of Chattin' with Janine. My guest for this week's show must have forgot, or she's lost, so I decided to just do the show anyway. So today I'm going to be talking about a name that's carved into New Hampshire history, Hannah Dustin. If you've driven through Boscawen, you may have seen her monument. But who was she? Why is there a monument? And why did some lawmakers want to remove it? Earlier this session, a bill came forward to take down the Hannah Dustin statue. We voted to keep it, but many people don't know her story or why it matters. So tonight, I'll talk to you about Hannah Dustin and what happened in 1697, and why this debate touches on history, memory, and values. So who was Hannah Dustin? I'd never heard of her until the bill came out, and it went to the Committee of Legislative Administration, which is my second committee, in addition to Science, Technology, and Energy. And I learned that Hannah Dustin was a Puritan woman from Haverhill, Massachusetts, captured during a native raid in 1697 during King Philip's War. Her newborn was killed, horribly killed, during the attack, and she was taken north to what is now Boscawen, New Hampshire. She later escaped by killing her captors and returned home, a story that became part of New England's frontier history. So what was happening in New England during that time? It was King William's War, part of a larger Anglo-French conflict. Native tribes allied with the French raided English settlements, and colonists retaliated. Life on the frontier was brutal. Raids, kidnappings, and killings were common on both sides. Why did her story become so famous? Because it symbolized survival against overwhelming odds. Cotton Mather wrote about her in 1702, and later generations saw her as a frontier heroine. Her story was memorialized in books, statues, and even school lessons for centuries. And now we get into the monument debate. Why is there a monument to Hannah Dustin in Boscawen? It was erected in 1874, during a time when communities honored frontier figures. It marks the island where she escaped. For many, it represents courage and survival in early New England history. Now, why do some people want it removed? Well, critics argue it glorifies violence against Native Americans and ignores the broader context of colonialism. They see it as a painful symbol for Native communities. And why did others oppose removing it? Well, because removing monuments erases history instead of teaching it. We believe the right approach is to add contents, not destroy heritage. The monument is part of New Hampshire's story, good, bad, and complicated, and should spark discussion, not censorship. So how should we handle controversial monuments today? By educating, not erasing. Add plaques, exhibits, and Native perspectives. History is complex. Monuments can be teaching tools if we present the full story. What does this debate say about how we view history now? Well, it shows tension between remembering and judging the past by today's standards. We need honest conversations about context without rewriting history. Why does Hannah Dustin's story still matter? Because it raises timeless questions about survival, morality, and memory. It reminds us that history isn't simple, and that understanding it helps us navigate today's debates without identity and heritage. So without a guest, I got through that very quickly. So I don't think I've seen the Hannah Dustin monument. I've driven through Boscawen, but I'm going to look for it next time I do. I do know that the nose is damaged, and one of the representatives wanted to put in an amendment to, instead of taking down the statue, we fix the nose. But the budget has already been set, and there's no money left in the budget. So every bill that has an FN, I don't see how, the fiscal note, don't know how it's going to pass this year. because there's just no more money. So we still have a lot of time. So I brought this book with me today. This is one of my favorite books. I got this at Fort at number 4 in Charleston, so on the way to Vermont. It's a book about a woman who, I don't even remember her name. Oh, here it is, Gemma Startwell. She lived at near Fort at number 4 during the French and Indian War. She had several children. She was forced into a marriage to a man who wasn't nice, awful, and they were captured. The husband was killed instantly. Her baby was starved to death because, you know, they were captured and they were taken to Canada. And along the way, they took her baby from her and hung him up on a tree at night. And the baby wasn't getting enough food, and the baby died. So it was very heart-wrenching story. Her sons, they actually liked being with the Native Americans, and when they were ransomed to go back, some of her boys didn't want to go back. They liked the Native American life. And up in Canada, her favorite daughter ended up marrying a Frenchman and moved away. And her other daughter came back home with her. So she ended up remarrying, married somebody who actually loved her this time. But just the hardships from life back then just amazes me. And these women who lived through it and all the chores they had to do, their life was so hard and so difficult. But I don't know how you would get a copy of this book. It's called Not Without Peril, but titles do not... Anybody can use a title. There's no copyright for titles. So there's other books with this title. But this one is a novel by Marguerite Allis, Allis, founded on the life and adventures of Gemma Startwell, one of the first settlers in Vermont. And with that, 10-minute show. Thank you for watching.